Hello, everybody. And today we have with us Radha Basu as part of our Ink Her series, where we are interviewing 49 amazing women. And why 49? Because 49.9 women, either Indian or of Indian origin. And Radha falls into every possible category. So we have. I'm not going to give, as usual, a long introduction. We're going to dive in, and you'll get to know who she is through the questions that I have for her. I met Radha in mid 90s through Chitra, actually, Chitra Divakaruni, and early 90s actually,
Early
and
90s, yes.
been a huge fan of everything she has done. I mean, in the 80s, she was like somebody we all looked up to because she's done so many firsts. So you'll find all about that, and it's wonderful to just have met her a long time ago and call her a friend today. And we traveled together in the path to do stuff between India and US. So it's very exciting. So Radha, I want to start with the beginning. You were like one of what 18 people in the engineering college out of 2,800 students or something like that. You were always taken to STEM, and you you came, and this was in Gindi College, and then you decided to come to USC to study with $8 in your pocket. I mean, tell me a little bit about in those days. I mean, women didn't leave home to go to US or somewhere unless you were married or how was your family? Obviously, your family was super supportive of everything you did, but was there a hesitation or how did it happen? Tell me a little bit about when you first came here. How was it?
So, first of all, Lakshmi, the feelings are mutual with you.
Yes.
I really
Yeah.
value our friendship over the years. I think I
Yes.
value our journey over the years,
Yes. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we've sort of done a bunch of things together, a bunch of things
Yes.
supporting each other, some crazy things, some lot of
Yes.
firsts.
Yes.
So, going back to my family, Lakshmi, as you know, I come from a very traditional
Correct.
South Indian family, Tamilian family, very
Correct.
traditional.
Yeah.
Um, I was the youngest of three girls. My sisters are quite a bit older to me.
Yeah.
And I went to an all-girls school run by Irish Catholic nuns who thought I was not. They would always say to my father,
Proper
well,
enough.
yes, once they asked my father, Mr. Ramaswamy, is she really like your other two girls? Is she really your daughter? And I remember crying that day because I was like, am I really your daughter? But when I applied for engineering, my father was a mechanical engineer. He was general manager of Southern Railways, and I grew up being a railway girl.
Hmm.
And nobody, let's just say, was not known that I had applied to engineering. My father would have just said no. And then the engineering results came out. And as you were saying earlier, there were very few women, very, very few
Correct.
women who
Yeah.
applied. And it came out in the Hindu in the evening, and I stood first in the entrance exams. And
Mm. Wow.
because I was female, it was the first, I guess my picture was then my older cousin came running in and saying, hide all the papers. You're going to get into trouble, because your picture's there. I'm like, why? Anyway, long story short, there's a wonderful head of the engineering college, Professor Hegde, my mentor, somebody, and he kept saying to my father, Mr. Ramaswamy, this is a really good opportunity for your daughter. And he said, no, no, no. And finally, on
Mm.
the last day, he said, which is a famous, what should I say, interchange between or exchange between my father and me over the years. Do what you want.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
that was, and he would say that he knew exactly what I would do. And I went
Correct.
off and paid my fees and all that. And yes, it was 17 girls and 2,780 boys. And I say
Yeah.
boys because they were young boys. Having said that, I think seriously, one of my best experiences or building experience to work in this very much tech world,
Mm-hmm.
very male-led at that time, to work globally, to be
Mm-hmm.
able to look at colleagues and really see equality and equity and being able to work side by side and report to me. All of that came from having some very good friends at Guindy
Yeah.
Engineering College. And I'm proud to say that all this while later, now, you want me to share more than 50 years later, some of my best friends, people we
Mm-hmm.
travel with, some of Deepak's, my husband's best friends. He plays
Yeah.
his bridge group with them, are my
Mm-hmm.
friends from engineering. They
Yeah.
shaped my
Yeah.
life and they shaped my thinking of
Yeah.
being with boys. So then I graduated and said to my parents, I got very interested listening to some lectures in biomedical engineering. Don't ask me if I knew what it was. I was like, I
Mm-hmm.
want to apply engineering to medicine, really interested in this. And I can't do it in India, so I'm going to go to the US. I went
Mm-hmm.
and got all the application forms and then my own pocket money applied and everything. And
Mm-hmm.
then I had to get a passport. And my father said, well, if you're going to go to the US by yourself, you can do everything. So they came, did security checks, and sometimes I was really upset about it, but I look back on it,
Yeah.
it was the best thing he did for me. It
Mm-hmm.
was like grit, get it done. You're
Yeah.
independent, you're on your own. I don't know if my
Yeah.
father thought that's what he was doing for me, but it certainly did it. And then,
Yeah.
was they gave you the proverbial $8. I ended up at USC
Yeah.
and yeah, stayed the first night in this really, well, I probably shouldn't say this on podcast, but it was kind of a seedy place called Figueroa Hotel. And
Yeah.
then that started the journey.
Yeah. And and then when you finished, I have to ask you, you went to HP and like, sometimes I feel that people forget things so fast in the valley. The other day I was talking to somebody, young person, and I was talking about Andy Grove. I mean, he's Andy Grove to me like how Hewlett and Packard are to you. And he's like, who's Andy Grove? And I'm like, oh my
Ah,
God, like people in the valley don't know who Andy Grove is, as a teenager or something. But I was just like, we have such short memory, but obviously Hewlett and Packard, their famous garage, and starting Hewlett Packard, and that you were there for 2 decades. And tell me a little bit about what was it like to meet with what were Bill Hewlett and David Packard were like, and what were the leadership lessons you learned from them? How was your interaction with them?
so again, there were very few women in engineering. When I did my first, I will say, so I joined, actually, was so fortunate. I joined HP Labs,
Mm.
the labs in 1501 Page Mill Road, Lakshmi, the
Yes, I
original
remember. I know
labs,
the
yeah.
place. Yeah.
And then I worked on transducer technologies, and then I went into the medical products group on ultrasound imaging. So I worked
Mm.
on the very first ultrasound imaging product, and I
Wow.
remember that my again, you as what you say, people forget what all of these firsts are, and there was no ultrasound imaging. We can't imagine a
Can you
world
imagine
without it.
every child's ultrasound you see today, like
Yes,
you worked on
exactly.
it way
Yep.
back then?
And
Yeah.
so the first design review, I had to be moved to the cafeteria because no nobody at that division had had a woman present a design review. So
Okay.
a whole lot of people showed up, and and then that was my first experience, and it was hard. And then we had the first, so every year we had a business review, and it was called a design review actually, of the division, and I presented to and literally Bill Hewlett, Dave Packard, our chief scientist, people like that just showed up, and I'll never forget Bill sitting. in the first row,
Yeah.
shirt hanging out, slouching, and I thought that as I was going through it, that he was actually like, dozing a bit. All rubbish, because
Yes.
there was something, and he got up and he said, "Nope, that won't work." I was
Correct.
like,
Yeah.
"Whoa, this man is
Yeah.
definitely." But it was the first time I met with this scientist in Bill, and this absolutely, I think, the Doan of Silicon Valley, the two people who created Silicon Valley, and
Right.
the whole style of leadership. It wasn't just leadership, it was the HB way. The,
Exactly.
the
Exactly. Yeah.
HB way. And people who have not read it, you better
Yes.
go. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're a leader, I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
If you're the prime minister, read about that HB way and the style of
Yeah.
leadership,
Yeah.
because it is about life and leadership. It is
Mm-hmm.
about people. But that was from David Packard.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
the ability to interact, argue with Bill Hewlett about the design. Like, why wouldn't it work? I was very young then. People are like, oh my gosh, Radha, you're
Yeah.
taking this on. And he said, well, this post-processing curve, da 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 da, if you do this. I said, no, but I got that from the JPL team, the Jet Propulsion Lab, and that's how
Yeah.
they're doing it. This argument's going on. And
Yeah.
didn't make me feel like I was a first-time fresher engineer working
Right.
on this. He engaged it. He got up there, whiteboarded it. And David was watching this whole thing. And he came to me later and um, he said, young lady. And I said, David, my name is Radha. He said, young Radha. He said, um, I really like the fact that you stood the ground.
Yeah.
And it was so good to be able to get that, and the mentorship that
Yeah.
developed over the years, and understanding what was the HB way till today. Lakshmi,
Yeah.
my team will just, they call me this, they say, oh, you're doing the floor walk, like, I'm
Yeah.
strutting around on the floor. The management by walking around, I'm an
Correct.
absolute believer in it. There is
Yep.
everything you pick up from your teams, what's going on. We used to call it the little water cooler discussion. We used to literally have a water cooler, and they would bring,
Yeah.
donuts and stuff at 9:40 in the morning.
Yeah.
Till today, when I walk around, I'm married. People will
Mm-hmm.
say, they'll put out two hands. They call me
Yeah.
Dee, which is older
Yeah.
sister, as you know, and they would say, Dee, what project have you brought? New ones,
Yeah.
new exciting ones. And the other
Yeah.
one will be, where's my chocolate?
Yeah.
It
I mean,
doesn't matter, whether you are 50 people,
yeah.
5,000 people, or more. That was what, and they did mentoring. I'll say one more
Yes.
thing, mentoring in the line of execution. It
Yes.
was mentoring in the line of execution. Anupam, who's our chief delivery officer, talks about that. But
Mm-hmm.
mentoring in the line of execution is you're actually working on things. They're working with you on it, but as they're doing it, you're getting mentored. And
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you how much of those 20 years have had an impact on me over the years.
Yeah. And also, I want to point out to one thing of like Bill Hewlett, like looking like as though he's not listening, but listening to everything. I feel like sometimes today you see somebody when they know something, they want you to know they know it, but there is some beauty about being very, stepping back. Like we used to joke that Gordon Moore was like that in terms
Mm.
of he'll be sitting quietly somewhere in the back listening, and suddenly he'll say, "Oh, I'm sorry, we are in like what page 97 or something like that." He'll say, but in page 21, you said the market cap was that much, but now you're saying the revenue is this much. If the revenue is this much here, how can the market cap be like you are like, oh my God, like how do you, and but in a very, you know, very sweet way. Like it's not just like, let me show you how much I know. It's sort of like, I'm just trying to understand here. kind
Well,
of a thing.
David Packard, I can't call him sweet. First of
Yeah.
all, he was 6 feet taller than me.
Yeah.
And, is a big man. And the thing is, they gave each of us the chance to grow,
Yes.
to learn new things, to fail. He
Correct.
really believed that failures, falling down, I learned this whole thing there. Okay, fall down, pick yourself up, dust
Yeah.
off, and move on. And it's been like a
Right.
mantra for me,
Correct.
And
Yeah.
and out of these failures come the learnings, and that grit and resilience comes from the failures. I remember that so they put me through, they selected a few people and they would put you through this whole leadership. At those times, it was
Yeah.
over 6 months.
Yeah.
It was called the Leadership Action
Mm.
Initiative. I was so proud. So, you know, you learn later not to be proud about these things because it's such a learning experience. And we
Yeah.
had to go pick mentors. And they said, can't be in your division, can't be in this, can't be that. So I this will make you smile because you know me. So I showed up at David Packard's office and I said, Dave, I'm going through, I've been selected for this. He says, oh, that's great. He said, I kind of knew you would be. And he says, he said, yeah, well, how can I help you? I said, will you be my mentor? And I haven't seen David Packard's eyes go up like that in surprise very often. He did that. He stood up, all of his 6 feet four, whatever it was, smiled and said, no one has ever asked me that, he said.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah.
And then he said, um, why did
Why?
you ask me that?
Yeah.
And I said, well, they told me to get a mentor that I believed I could learn from. He would spend the time with me. And I like the fact that you're going to mentor while I'm executing and not telling me what to do. And I gave him I don't even remember what I said. And at the end of it, he said, okay, you got it. I'm
Yeah.
going to make you work really hard. I said, oh, that's
Yeah.
great. Many, many years later, Lakshmi, it's one of my, I tell you, a moment that made me so emotional. In the last ever general managers meeting that David attended,
Mm.
and I was so grateful is the word.
Mm.
Um, he was, his voice was weak and he was not as clear and still as strong. And I sat next to him for lunch. And
Mm.
remember, through all of this, I started Hewlett-Packard India. He'd
Right.
visited. I'd spent time with him. He sat next to me at lunch. And he says, look at the memory of this man. He says, oh, so are you going to have that stuff that gives you brains? That yogurt rice that you eat? Because at some point I had said, Tamilians are, South Indians are very good at math. And so I don't know what I said to him, Lakshmi, but I must
But
have
you said it's because of curd rice.
I said, oh, it's this curd rice. It's very cooling. Makes us, I'm very good at math. And he's like, curd rice? And he said, what's curd? So he
Yogurt,
asked
right?
me, so are you going to have this yogurt rice? And I said, no, I'm not going to get it. And he says, so what are you eating? I said, it's vegetarian. And he says, I want that vegetarian meal. And it's US and stuff. And they said, sir, you haven't ordered the vegetarian. I marched into the kitchen and I said, you give this man vegetarian food and never will you ever work in Silicon Valley again. They brought out all these plates. But you
Yeah.
asked him then,
Mm.
what was his proudest moment of his career? He was really at the end of his career, or what
Mm.
we would say. He
Mm.
said something um, that has stayed with me forever. He
Mm-hmm.
says, "You think it's all behind me? There's stuff ahead of me." What do you mean, the
Yeah.
proudest moment in the past? And
Yeah.
then he explained that at every step that you're growing, you think you're at the pinnacle, you grow again because there are different ways in which this can happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminded us that leadership is about lifelong curiosity, humility, and believing the best is always ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Lakshmi,
Yeah.
isn't that the
I mean,
best?
it's a different generation of leadership.
It
It's
was.
just, I think it was so amazing. I mean, I think I sometimes feel like we are the luckiest generation to have
We
seen
are. We are.
such huge change, the change is unbelievable in our lifetime and the kind of people we got to meet. And you talked a little bit about starting HP in India. That was another first, starting HP in India, growing it to be a very successful division. And now that was in 1985, I think you went to India.
87. I went to India in
87,
85 and
85.
86, and then 87, we started the first software center of any multinational, along with
Correct.
Charlie Simon from Texas Instruments, set up
Yeah,
the first satellite data link ever from India.
correct.
And between Charlie and I, we shared the link. And we
Yeah,
started that in 1987. And it
yeah.
was amazing times when you look back on it.
Yeah.
But that is
So
correct.
before we go, I just have a quick question for you. That was in 87. And you've been working in India quite a bit. And we are in India 2025, like almost 40 years, almost 4 decades. I want you to tell us, like, what was India then? What is it now? And what are I mean, like, just give me the contrast or not, what has changed, what hasn't changed very, very quickly.
So, first of all, in those days, nobody believed that you could do any kind of technology in India. We're talking about 1987.
Mm-hmm.
And Narayan Murthy and team had just started Infosys, and Nazim Premji had just started Wipro. And I had the opportunity, and Mr. Kohli had started
Mm-hmm.
TCS, and Ramadar,
Yeah.
and we celebrated the first $1 million, 1 million joint
Mm-hmm.
export from India in 1989, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, what was India like? I'll tell you things that are similar and things that are different.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was entrepreneurial. Anything we did, first satellite data link, first shipment of software, it's going on the satellite data link. And the
Yeah.
customs is saying, where are the goods? So we're
Yeah.
like, oh, goods. Oh, it just went on that satellite. What satellite?
Yeah.
So then you certain things you don't fight. And I think that's still true. You say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you want to see some goods? So we dumped on a particular day. But we were very good structured. 28th of every month, whatever was
Mm-hmm.
in the data room, the server room, we dumped everything on mag tapes. And it wasn't at all what we were exporting. It wasn't all the code had gone. And
Yeah.
we used to work on Unix operating system and stuff like that. We
Yes,
shipped
I
it, we
remember
took it
that.
and marked it X101, date, some code, something, a whole bunch of mag tapes. We took it to customs and they would write each one down, did paperwork for each of them, and they went to the US. And there was one big, what was it called? DXC or something warehouse. And
Mm-hmm.
there was a big area, it was called Radha's Junk. When I left HP 20 years later, they trolled me on that. They made fun of me on this. But that's how we did it. But the
Yeah.
thing that was the same, and I see that today, Lakshmi, is young people
Right.
eager to learn new things, eager
Yes.
to have an opportunity. Because think
Mhm.
of it then India as a whole was trying to be a player in
Correct.
the global space of technology because nobody believed you could do it.
Mm-hmm.
If that 30 years, very prosperous India, a large middle class that is in one generation,
Mm-hmm.
which is ours, right? In 40 years, you can not being in that business at all. You can go from not even being in technology
Mm-hmm.
to being a global leader with $500 billion business, a whole middle class change. Nobody would believe you can do
Correct.
that in a
Correct.
generation. And that happened.
Yeah.
Yet, there are young people today, and I say this, I do a lot of talks, I've done TED Talks. I say this to people who are today. Don't forget that when you give the opportunity to access, you eager, bright up.
Yeah.
That creates the next generation of
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurs and the next generation of government. You wouldn't be here today if we didn't do this. There, we, as in a large we, all the people who were entrepreneurs then, who are legends now, right?
Right.
Naramati is a legend, Pringy is a legend, all these people are legends.
Mm-hmm.
If
Mm-hmm.
that didn't happen and somebody didn't trust us, like
Mm-hmm.
a David Packard, there
Yeah.
would be no IT industry today. You wouldn't be doing this. So give opportunity. Don't
Right.
look down on people. So changed. And
Right.
I'll tell you the other thing that's changed for me quite dramatically is no women at that time. I
Right.
mean, I would say even in the US, I took my
Mm-hmm.
company public later in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
Hardly, but we'll talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
But then how women got into the tech field, and now you see women leaders. So you have to look at this and say, oh, we've achieved this in the greatest country in technology. Yes, but make sure
Mm-hmm.
that the young people who were the beginners then, you have those young people today, and you have a large number of
Yeah.
them, young men and
Correct.
women.
Yeah. Yeah.
And be then now the change that created you become the
Correct.
change
Correct.
now.
And also, I think,
And you give
yeah,
that
and also I
opportunity.
think having the very few women kind of a thing. So I just want to say, last night we were at a friend's house, Deborah, who I've known since the 80s, since I worked at Intel. So I was telling my son, he was there, and I said, "Oh, we used to work together." And she said, "Yeah, there were like seven of us. So we all girls stuck around really tightly to each other, and we are friends even now. So and to from that to seeing a lot of women, but still, as you grow up the ranks, in the senior positions, still there aren't enough women. I mean, it's much more than before. They're not there. And part of it is, I think, women have to own their
Yeah.
future also and do, I mean, all the things of you have to sacrifice spending time with your kid, you have to sacrifice spending time with your family, like men do also. A lot of things have to happen, and there are some questions about that I'll ask you later. But I wanted to go back to, I just wanted to share about how there were very few women. But I want to ask you about, you very famously went on a trek and came back and quit HP and joined support.com. What is it in that 22-day trek that made you quit something that was really your home for 20 years? HP was your home for 20 years. And there were so many firsts. They treated you extremely well, and you gave a lot to them also. So tell me about, what is it that made you change in that trek?
So you're right. HB let me grow the way I wanted to. And what a good lesson that is. Because I was entirely in R&D. Then one day I woke up and I said to my division general manager, I want to go into sales. He was like, huh? What? Sales? Indian woman?
Yeah,
They put me in the southern sales region of the United States. But I
yeah,
knew my ultrasound well, so we became the top district. Then I wanted, some European experience. And I led the medical products group in Europe. And then, of course, the most fantastic opportunity one day saying, oh, some of my EVP said, that country of yours is behind
Yeah.
in electronics. When will it ever catch up? I got really mad at him at a major fight. Can you imagine being on
Yeah.
a plane and
Yeah.
having a rip-roaring fight with your EVP? Great guy. And I Dick Alberting, and he said, okay, I'll give you 3 months. Go figure out what you want to do. I said, 3 months? And
Yeah.
who's going to pay me? He said, I'm paying you. So
Yeah.
he gave me 3, 4 months. So I came, and this is how HP India started. What I'm trying to say is, and then I went back and grew the enterprise solutions business to $1.2 billion,
Dollars.
ran a
Yeah.
global business.
Yeah.
And then they asked me to start the internet software business unit and started it. And I said, before I do that, I'm going to go on the trek. And then then CEO Lou Platt, every person that at the leadership I came across at HP, so fine. Lou actually came from the medical products group, so I knew him from pretty much day one. And Lou said, "You're going where? Everest Base Camp? Really? You know that there's only a third of oxygen at base camp." I said, "Yeah, I know." He says, "This has been my world's dream." Okay, my life's dream. So I'm gonna go with you in spirit. And he said, "Go, Lakshmi, if it sounds like, oh, here is this brave big trekker going now." I don't know what I was getting into. Deepak and I had talked. Deepak had this dream of, he was a real dreamer of going up to Tangboche Monastery, da da da. When we first got married, we're like, okay, let's go. And we were going to Tangboche Monastery, and which is at about 15,000 feet. And then a friend of ours said, ah, what wimps. You're going up to Tangboche Monastery and you're not going to Everest Base Camp? Such wimps. We're like, what? Wimps? Really? Okay, let's go up to Everest Base Camp. 23-day trek.
Yeah.
What was that trek about?
Mm-hmm.
First, it really, the awesomeness, if you could call it that, it's not a right English word, the awesomeness of nature and the spec you are. You understand the spec you are in the cosmos. I really mean that. Every day you get up and you look at this awesome nature. And this nature over which you don't have control, one day it is beautiful sun, and the next day you have a blizzard. And that's one. It's really a way, you said this before, it develops humility. It develops those things David Packard talked about, right? Curiosity, humility, knowing that it's always the best is before you or can be. Second thing is, it's one step at a time. And you fall and you lift yourself up. Maybe you cry a bit because it hurts.
Yeah.
And you learn from your bruises and scars, and you keep going. And what resilience it builds.
But I have to ask you, sorry, because we are running out of time. There, I have a couple more questions. Is like, what is it that made you say, I'm going to start something new? I'm going to quit this?
For me, it was not so much about quitting, because HP would always be my home, would be a home. But it was about starting something new. On the trek, I came to realize that at the core, I'm about starting things that people haven't done before.
Yeah.
And that's what made, and to make a real, be a real catalyst, be a change in the lives of young people.
Right, yeah.
And I saw what IT had done for India. I'd spent a lot of time in
Correct.
India
Yeah.
then too, because back and forth with HB, the India Software Center reported to me. I ran international
Yeah.
software, and um, and I said, but it hasn't changed the lives of the Sherpa boys I'm with. And
Hmm.
I found them to be have service above self. That was their. That's what they believed in. Every time I
Hmm.
felt, there was a young Sherpa to help me,
Yeah.
and I decided this is what I want to do. I want to do what happened in 1987 and over the 90s. I want to
Mhm.
bring that change, that excitement, that aspiration. I'm not the change. They are the change. They create the change.
Right.
But I want to be that catalyst for young people of tier one, tier two places where IT had not touched, the wealth creation had not touched, but they're really bright and I know they can
Hmm.
do it. So, okay, we'll go back.
Yeah.
And
So,
and then I
yeah.
said, but to do that, I have to be an entrepreneur by
Yeah.
myself without the protection of HB. So I came back and I went to Lou Platt's office and said, Lou, I'm leaving. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, he was so shocked. And he told me it was the
It's a lack of
fact that it
oxygen.
was lack of oxygen has addled your brain. I'll never forget that. Radha Basu, lack of oxygen addled your brain. And he said, go back, come back to me in 3 months. I said, no, 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 a month. Because if I go back, I will be back to where I started and I will not take this break.
Yeah.
I am going out of HB and I'm going to do something on my own. And once I can know that, can prove that I can do that, and a technology company, then I'll go back and
Yeah.
be able to do something with that with the
Yeah.
young people in India.
Right. I mean, it's so strange, not strange, so, such amazing. Since then, it has been the same journey in one form or the other. You did support soft, and like, it's a whole different conversation about how did you manage to go IPO before the dot-com bust. We'll talk about that later, but there
It
was
was
so
the
many, right?
first unicorn. Now
It's
they call
unicorn.
it unicorn. It
I
was
know,
over $1 billion, and
right?
then I
And
remember being the Nasdaq ringing the bell and all that, Lakshmi, and doing
correct.
that. And
Yeah.
somebody said, I will never forget it. Somebody said, "Is that an Indian woman taking?"
Woman.
Yeah, somebody be public. I'm like, yes, and it's now they would call it the unicorn. So it was like the first unicorn company
Correct.
that
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
they didn't call it that then.
Correct.
I don't believe in unicorns, but
Yeah.
it was great, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that I think that Sherpa image is really beautiful in terms of supporting people, bridging those people with technology has been sort of your mantra since then. But I also want to take a minute to talk about, I mean, in some ways it seems like everything goes your way. You're like, I think one of the few people I know who's been a corporate person and then a startup and then social entrepreneurship and then a startup again. And I mean, it's like there are so many molds you've broken in what you have done. And in the midst of all this, you have a beautiful daughter, Jumki, who I've known, and she finishes her PhD. Like everything is going well. And then comes the tragedy of losing her. And and this is not to dramatize it or anything, but I just want to say I've seen a lot of times when something major like that happens, families fall apart, actually. It's a very, very big I mean, for us, our life is our children, right? So it's sort of when that happens, families fall apart. And you both, in some ways, have come together closer and actually put that into a foundational way. And I want to talk about it because if you can deal with that kind of a tragedy and turn it into something positive, there is no other excuse for anyone else not to do that. So tell me a little bit about, I mean, it must have been, I mean, traumatic, but how do you cope with it? How do you find a different, not a different, but like an enhanced purpose? And she was, such a beautiful, I had somewhere, I have a beautiful photo of her and Deepak together. The beautiful woman, smart, vivacious, very much like you, very much stood her ground in whatever she did. She didn't back down very easily. So tell me a little bit about how did you reconstruct yourself out of that?
There is no lower point, none, in one's life, in a mother's life, than losing your child, and for us, our only child.
Yes, yeah.
And you're right, vivacious, spirited, um, and you know this, Lakshmi, the things that um, the thing I miss most about her, and it sounds really strange, is the way she tossed her head when we fought. Had
Yes.
those bright ideas,
Yeah.
as to how she would fight. It would make me think about everything on my feet because she had all this data and this intelligence about things. And she'd say, oh, but you can't do that because blah, 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 whatever it was. And I had to find my way and stand my ground.
Yeah.
I would say that there is just two things. She said to us before she knew she was not going to be around. And I'll never forget, she said to me in the feisty way that even at the end, she said, Mommy, don't be standing around all the time crying.
Yeah.
There is so much to be done there. So many young people, because remember, Lakshmi, she worked with young people in the US in
Yes,
STEM
yes. You're a teacher.
education. That was
Yes,
her
yeah,
spirit.
teacher. Yes.
In
Yeah.
Crown Heights, in
Mm.
in Brooklyn, and in New York, in
Yeah.
all the parts of New York, Title I schools where there was no STEM and science, and she trained
Mm-hmm.
teachers. That was her passion. And she was very passionate. And
Mm-hmm.
Bronx, she did. So she said that. And that has is something that it makes me wake up and I think about that. And during the
Mm-hmm.
day, I think about it. In the evening, I think about it. And I feel if someone so young, she passed away at 31, had
Mm-hmm.
the courage to talk about that when she knew
Mm-hmm.
that this was the end of her life, then what the heck? How do I have the right to sit around and not
Yeah.
do what we're supposed to do, whatever that is, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And not carry those dreams of those possibilities, those I didn't even know what her dreams were. I mean, I knew, but
Yeah.
whatever it
Yeah.
was,
Mm-hmm.
that passion, the passion we had, because it's all the work we're doing is not just her passion. It's also, yes, we have the Jumki Basu Foundation, we have Anudeep Foundation, but the iMeriters, I'm
Mm-hmm.
telling you, when I meet these young people,
Mm-hmm.
I see Jumki in them so much.
Yeah.
And look at their transformation. I'm
Right.
sorry to say to might seem like I'm boasting about this, but we created the first all-women computer vision center of excellence, one of the
Yes.
7 centers of excellence in the world. It's an all-women center in Metier Bruce, and they are working on the most globally advanced computer vision, LiDAR,
Yeah.
point cloud, whatever set of things.
Mm-hmm.
The first automotive AI center in India.
Yeah.
We have the largest workforce in AI,
Mm-hmm.
in AI, in computer vision, particularly,
Mm-hmm.
53% young women
Mm-hmm.
out of the 5,500 people, but we also have another 5,000 people that,
Mm-hmm.
that's about 10,000 people that we have in the country.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there might be somebody else who's 100,000. That you look at that and you say,
Right.
that's what she wanted us to do.
Correct.
So
Yeah. So,
I, this is, what can I say, Lakshmi?
yeah.
There's
No, I
nothing
mean,
else
I'm
more than
glad
that.
you brought this ask about I merit. Again, he was somebody who envisioned women, like, are finding joy. And all this AI we talk about now, you talked about it many years ago, and having all these women participate in AI tagging and, teaching the AI a lot of stuff. Meanwhile, them learning. And how many employees have you gone through? Just give me some statistics for I
Yeah.
Merit.
So first of all, we are globally in computer vision. Now our centers, we have 12 centers, um, not just in India, but definitely in the US and in Bhutan and in Ankara, in Turkey. We have about 5,500 in-house employees and over
Mhm,
4,000 experts and specialists and in domain specialists. So about 9,500 to 9,800 people.
mhm.
Let me be very clear. It's 50-50. So
Yes, yeah,
yes, working
yeah,
with women.
yeah.
We work in AI in the entire gamut of AI, which
Right.
is, of course, we started in training models, annotation.
Mm,
Now we actually work with in specially, so we work with autonomous mobility, which is the robotic side. So
mhm,
we train them and they go into production. We monitor, we do the mapping,
mhm,
we do triage
mm,
of problems, test case scenarios. So the entire life cycle, the ML life cycle. Then we
mm,
are in medical AI with some of the best expertise in training models for clinical imaging, and then
mhm,
also on the generative AI side. And our
mhm,
highest growth and one of our largest businesses now is working with the foundation model companies to be able to take them into the large models and customize them, fine tune them, create data set creation, do
mhm.
something called tormenting the models so you can break them.
Yes,
We will
yeah,
bring
yeah.
in like PhDs in mathematics and make sure that they can torment the model and then create the new data sets to make it work. So these are the areas of AI we're in.
Mhm.
And a couple of things that are not so, there are two things I really believe in. I say this.
Yeah.
A focus on clients that came from David Packard. He said, Radha, 2 feet. I say this now, planted firmly on the ground. One is a maniacal focus on client, their problems because drive your business, clients stay with you, and that's what makes you scale and grow.
Mm,
The other one is I call it our inclusive workforce. He called it the commitment to your
community.
community, people, and we work very much in the community.
Correct.
So our centers are not in the big metros where there's 38%, 30% attrition.
Mm,
We have less 6% with women
mm,
and has been there over the years.
mm.
We are in Bhubaneswar, in Hubli, not in
Yeah,
Bangalore, in
yeah.
Coimbatore, in Ranchi, in Shillong, where there's a lot of work in language models that's
Mm,
done there.
yeah.
Vizag. We are in New
Mhm.
Orleans. Not Yes, we have our tech team in Bangalore and Silicon Valley. We're in Ankara. So
Yeah.
there, people stay with you. Our clients are been with us 5 years. We have a net revenue retention of, I think it's 126. So they
Mm,
stay with us for a long time.
mhm, mhm,
And one of the, we've been in AI now for 10 years.
mhm.
We're one
Yeah.
of the pioneers. We started early
Correct.
in AI.
Correct.
So we have
Correct.
a high seat.
Yes. Yes.
But what makes this really work is
Mhm.
having the technology. So when we
Yeah.
bought the Ango product, it's the Ango platform, and the
Mhm.
nexus of the technology and the human expertise is
Mm-hmm.
what makes AI work today. Why is there
Correct.
such a focus on experts and specialists? I mean, that's where people aren't talking about the technology companies in AI. They're talking about all the people you can bring that has the
Correct.
layered expertise. We have our head of healthcare AI is a Stanford trained physician, full
Mm-hmm.
time, works for us. We have
Yeah.
radiologists, we have agronomists, because
Mm-hmm.
that's what takes the large models and
Correct.
creates the purpose built applications in the domain.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
when you have maniacal focus on clients, your inclusive workforce, very expert layered, expert specialists, analysts, etc. You're taking young people, you have an AI academy, and
Yeah.
technology joins all of that.
Correct.
It's such an exciting place to work in.
I mean, it's really amazing what you have done with iMerit. I want to take a couple of questions that have come.
Mm-hmm.
I think these are very important to talk about. There is a thing of if a woman listening today feels invisible but capable, what's the first step she should take tomorrow?
Be visible.
So,
And
how do you do that?
how do you do that? So when you're in a meeting, and this is
Mm-hmm.
very true of Asian and Indian women,
Mm-hmm.
when you're in a meeting, you actually know, have intelligence on the discussion happening.
Yeah.
And you're just going to answer it, or you're just going to say it. And somebody comes in who has even less intelligence than you and
Correct.
sweeps through and makes a sweeping statement.
Yeah.
Be very purposeful. You
Mm.
can't talk about everything. Pick the couple of things, but make sure you make a pact with yourself in the morning. You say, today, I am going to express myself in one thing that I feel really confident in, and
Yeah.
do that and say that. Even
Mm-hmm.
practice it. It sounds kind of weird,
Correct.
but practice it
Correct. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
go in there,
Yeah.
you know, pick yourself up, sit up. And the first time you do it, it is scary as heck. It is
Yeah.
daunting. And then you say it, and somebody says, "Oh, Lakshmi, that's a really good
That's a
point.
great idea.
That's a
Yeah.
good idea."
Yeah.
And you say, "Yeah, indeed, it's a good idea." Yeah, you say to yourself.
Yeah.
And the next time, but pick
Mm.
the ones you're confident in and you're
Mm.
good at. And you
Right.
make your point twice, three times, five times. Then people will ask you. I will give you this. When I went to the southern sales region,
Mm.
imagine an Indian woman in the southern sales region of the United States.
Correct. I can
And having
understand.
no sales experience, they're all like, "Why did they put you here? What'd you do?" And I was scared to death. And I said, the one thing I know is I know my ultrasound product because I came from
Mhm.
R&D.
Yeah.
So I am going to be the person behind them to give them the training and the stuff, and you do that. And then the first time we went into a hospital, I'll never
Mm.
forget this. And in Houston, at the I think it was the Baylor Medical Center, I forget. And the big doctor there asked a question. My salespeople were all shuffling, and I said, "Well, that product, what that does in the whatever set of the transducer technology and what it does, it'll give you this much depth, but not more than that. And so you will have to have a higher something transducer." And the physician was like, "Oh, I did not realize that. You're a real expert in ultrasound, aren't you?" I
Mm.
tell you, the sales guys after that, but it was just one thing I knew. I didn't know anything
Yeah.
about sales. You start to tell me about TAMs and MEMS and stuff. I didn't know target ad markets or any of that. But pick that. You will get the confidence, and
Mm.
then you go to the next one, and you go to the next one. And
Mm.
please
Mm.
do talk to,
Mm.
go out, get yourself a, a, a buddy, a champion, a mentor. We are
Mm.
here to make
Yeah.
that happen. So
There's actually a very interesting question that Stop apologizing at work?
The one thing, stop apologizing, period.
No, yeah,
Apologizing. Even, let's say, other than you've said something wrong to somebody.
yeah,
Here's another thing that I believe in. Keep your apologies for people who work for you.
yeah.
It will make them
Mhm,
confident, will make them trust in you that you're a real person
mhm,
and you don't see something right and you have a step that you have courage to say, hey, I messed up here and
yeah.
I'm sorry for that. Then what does it do? We say sorry to the people in the conference room and above us and all of that.
Mhm, mhm.
Apologize if you feel like,
Yeah,
say it to the people who work for you.
right,
You will get the confidence and they'll get the
right.
confidence.
That's
What do you think,
I love,
Lakshmi? Do you
like the
think
other thing I wanted to say
like,
is that it's a, how do you get yourself be heard? I always say first sit at the table, I've seen way too many women when you walk into a room, there's a table, chairs around, but then there is also a back row for overflow,
oh
right?
gosh, always
People
go sit?
always go sit at the back, and I'm like, no, sit at the table. It's okay if it runs out of place, somebody else will sit back there, but it's so
Oh
daunting.
my
Yeah.
gosh, yeah.
When,
Uh, for an
yeah,
ex-Marine at
yeah,
HP,
yeah.
tough as, and I learned from him he would be there before. Yeah, I've had a whole presentation, things to make. People are scared, so scared. And they said, how could you ever work for him? So he would go there. He would go there 5 minutes before, and he'd put up an agenda that you weren't prepared for. It completely threw you off.
Yeah.
So once I got tired of this,
Yeah.
it also completely messed it up. So I went there 7 minutes ahead
Yeah.
and I put up the agenda.
Yeah.
And I just stepped out of the room. Mike stepped in
Yeah.
and he looked and he said, I could hear him, oh, but is it that smart aleck lady who did this? And I came back in and said, oh, hi, Mike. You were in early. I just wanted to come and see, put up the agenda and get ready for things. He told me later that he would never walk into a room and change my agenda. So, ladies, it is possible. Here's something I would say too.
Mm.
I don't want this to come across wrong, so I won't apologize for it though. Use all your wiles. We have
Yeah.
some great capabilities. We can juggle better than, you know, others can. And I love the guys in my organization. So I want to be careful. I love the guys at engineering as well. But
Yeah.
we juggle well. We can do multiple things.
Mm-hmm.
We have tough, we are tough.
Yeah.
You look at things when things get really tough, we get going
Yeah.
and use our wiles. We are crafty. We can smile, get our way in somewhere. We can be
Yeah.
tough. We use all our wiles. They don't have to be the same. That's why there's Mars and Venus, right? We're not the same.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
use our strengths the best. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Great. Thank you so much, Radha. And it's never enough time. I mean, I feel we haven't even gotten to have the things you've done in your life. But here is, you rose to the highest levels in HP, IPO with a startup, and I really want to congratulate you with all the work you've done with iMerit. And it just, as David Packard would say, it's the best is yet to come. It's only
Yes,
going forward. It's
we're
only
building
going forward.
AI. We're
Yeah,
building AI. I mean, we have this whole AI thing coming up in February, and will be there. We're building
correct. Yeah,
AI. This is the
correct.
beginning. The best is there. But when you have that foundation,
Yeah,
just like in 1987, you had the foundation, you could build the biggest IT country in the world. Have the
yeah,
AI, you can build the biggest. So
correct, correct. Yeah. So thank you so much for your time. And everybody, thank you so much for joining. And my friend said, Herky, thank you for all the, this conversation you made possible. So good night, everybody. Or sorry, good morning.
Good
Bye
day,
bye.
everybody.
Good
Thank you.
day. That's a good one.
And
Okay.
Lakshmi, thank you for letting me just be me. We
Of
didn't script
course.
anything, and
Yeah.
it's just wonderful talking to you. And hope
Great.
this has been helpful to everybody
Yes,
listening.
very much so. There's so many gems, so we'll continue to use them.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Bye bye.
Radha. Okay, bye-bye.